Have you been given a diagnosis and all of a sudden you feel exhausted? You might even feel low energy. It's slow for you to recover. Heck, you don't even have to have a diagnosis. It could be something that you're dealing with for a long time and you're just chalking it up to getting older, or maybe your, circle of friends say, hey, it's that time of year, you're going to catch a cold and you catch a cold. All those different things that we expect, that is maybe because of aging or maybe because you're depressed or anxious or anything like that. But what if there are nutrients that are not being absorbed in your body? What if there is something else that could be causing this exhaustion? Or, like I hear people all the time, if you just think of coughing, I get sick, that type of thing. When you're thinking that that's what's going to happen, or if that's been the pattern, listen up, because this is a very important class. Prior to going on my cruise, you all know that I've gone on this cruise with my husband. Every time I go on the cruise, I get sick. Every time I come back, that first day back or the first week back, I am in bed sick. This year, I asked my friend Hollie Gilbert. She is the franchise co-owner of the DRIPBaR. And I said to her, I want to come back healthy. What should I do? She immediately set me up for an IV therapy, vitamin C, and a bunch of other things too. And I came back healthy. So I said, Hollie, I know you're going to be a speaker at the I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit for Cancer and Autoimmune Dys-Ease. So I would love for you to come on and talk about the importance of IV therapy. So I don't know if any of you have heard of IV therapy. Well, you're going to enjoy this conversation because Hollie is going to teach us the benefits of IV therapy. And I know that you will take lots of notes. So get your pencil and your paper because we are ready to grow together. And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here waiting for you. Hi, my name is Lily McDermott. I'm a certified life coach, a certified holistic coach, and the host of the Lillian McDermott radio show, Classroom. If this is the first time in the classroom, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide natural ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Well, I've known Hollie for a couple of years now, and I tell you, when I speak with her, she is a wealth of information and she puts me to shame. I told her this right before we came on, and I really do appreciate everything that she has educated me on. She is a powerhouse and she has her own story of her journey towards health. And I know you're going to love her too, as much as I do. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am so grateful that Hollie Gilbert is here to do just that. Welcome, Hollie, to the classroom.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
I am thrilled that you are here as well. So let's talk about your background, because your background didn't start in health and wellness. So share a little bit about your background and what gave you the desire to continue with this journey as a franchise owner of the DRIPBaR.
Well, I was a busy traveling executive in the hospitality business on planes all the time. And I was, I think, gifted with a good immune system, but I saw people constantly getting ill as they traveled. A lot of my coworkers, they would come home sick all the time. And I had parents who, went the traditional way with their health, and it didn't go so well for them. Both of my parents died young of heart disease, and I didn't want to be that statistic. And so I constantly started asking a lot of questions. And I also didn't get married till late in life. I was 40 when I finally got married for the first time, and we wanted to have children, and went to doctors because we weren't getting getting pregnant, and they were wanting to do, oh, I'd go straight to egg donor with you. You're just, your eggs are too old. And I had a friend who said, you should look at acupuncture. I know an acupuncturist who specializes in fertility. And so I went to her. She sat down with me. She looked at all of my testing and blood work and paperwork, and she said, there's nothing wrong with you. You just have advanced maternal age. And so all we have to do is restore healthy blood flow to the lower burner area of your body where it's going to nourish that egg. And you're going to have a much higher chance of getting pregnant. So lo and behold, she told me I would need about 90 days of treatment. And I was in treatment for 4 months when I got pregnant with my first son. And so at 42, I gave birth to a healthy baby boy, and just through acupuncture and Chinese herbs. And so I started asking a lot of questions of traditional medicine. My son kept getting repeated ear infections,
Mhm.
and they wanted to put tubes. They want to do surgery, and I'm like, he's not even a year old. I want to do surgery. So again, my acupuncturist, who became a very good friend, recommended that I see a homeopathic doctor, Dr. Miranda Castro. She's amazing. Published a lot of homeopathic books. And I took my son to her. And again, after about an hour or so of talking, she gave me some very practical solutions and a homeopathic remedy. He never got another ear infection, never did the surgery. And then I got pregnant using acupuncture again. And my acupuncturist continued to introduce me to new therapies that were holistic, cranial sacral therapy for recovery from my C-sections, and eventually IV therapy.
And that was all she wrote. You know, it's
Yeah,
it's amazing how many of us suffer in silence because we've been told no. You can't have a child, or no, you can't get well, or no. But they don't give you different options. What made you at whatever age? I mean, I know that you saw all these executives getting sicker, but what made you make the transition? Here you are trying IV therapy, you're seeing the benefits of it. I see it, but I'm not going to become a franchise owner. What made
right.
you make that jump?
Well, sometimes, situations occur that force you into that. So, COVID happened, and it was, it was a detrimental like hit to the hospitality industry, which I was in. And so I got furloughed and then was out of a job. And being in your mid 50s and out of a job, you're kind of going, all right, what next? Do I really want to go back into the same lifestyle? That's not great for me. And I had an executive coach, an amazing thing. It's the biggest gift that I had on my exit, was that I was given an executive coach. And this executive coach said to me, she goes, "What are you passionate about?" And I said, "Well, I've really become passionate about holistic health, because I've seen the benefits that it's had for me, and I'm only scratching the surface. Having my second child just before my 45th birthday, and I had done some food sensitivity testing, and I had eliminated those foods and experienced like amazing feelings. I had less inflammation in my body, less pain. I felt great. I had more energy, more clarity. So all of these things, I said I'm really passionate about it, but it's very confusing sometimes because there's so many things out there. How do you know which one to choose? And so as we started looking at businesses, she said, you should really be a business owner. You have all of the traits that someone needs to run a business. And if you're passionate about it, you're going to be that much more, successful. And so as we started looking at opportunities, I found the IV therapy business.
Wow. It never ceases to amaze me that what man intends for harm, God intends for good. Sometimes things have to happen in our life to point us in the direction that we were ordained to go in. Because I can't imagine you. I mean, I can imagine you in any industry, I can, but I can't imagine you not outside, out of this holistic, because you are a consumer of information. You are a student, you're gobbling it up. And I can't tell you how many times you say, "Well, do you know this person? Do you know this person?" No, I've never heard of this person. And you just consume all this and you're like a sponge. And so I am grateful that you're not just a franchise owner. You live this. You understand it and you're continually improving your education when it comes to all of this. So let's talk about IV therapy. What is IV therapy and what do we get out of IV therapy? What are the benefits?
You know, our food system is so toxic, and it used to be that we ate for nutritional purposes. And unfortunately, the nutrition has been stripped from our food supply, and or we're eating fast food all the time, and we're not really getting the nutritional value out of our meals that we used to. And so, we find it interesting that quite often some of our clients will come in and they say, well, my doctor's not a big fan of this. And they say I get everything I need out of my food and I don't really need this. And we always kind of say, well, I'm just curious. Did he or she happen to ask you, what do you eat? Because most of the time they don't. They assume that you're eating good nutrients and they don't stop to really ask. And I think that a lot of people, we don't know, what we should be eating. They don't realize that if it comes out of a can, it's not the nutritional value as fresh vegetables and how hard, it's not as easy to find those fresh vegetables. Things are grown outside of our country, put into our grocery stores, everything recently had a conversation with a functional medicine doctor because my husband's doing some gut healing. And he said, you don't have a problem with gluten. You have a problem with glyphosate. And you're going to be hard pressed to find gluten, any kind of bread product in this country without glyphosate in it.
Yes. Yes.
So, we need to return to getting our micronutrients. And if we do it orally and we have an unhealthy gut, and a lot of us do, then we're just not going to absorb them and we're not going to get the return that we should from those micronutrients. So when you have IV therapy, you're going to absorb pretty much 100% of those micronutrients. And a lot of times people come in and they say, well, how do you know what I need? Well, there's basic things that we all need. We know that 80% of Americans are deficient in magnesium. Vitamin C is the master antioxidant. Vitamin C is one of my favorite things. And if you're of a certain age, we know that things like the master antioxidant glutathione that our body produces naturally starts to decrease in its production. And so once that starts to decrease in its production, we're going to have problems with our, toxic load. And we're exposed to so many toxins. We need our body to work, to detoxify properly.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the key. And that I was going to ask you that question, but I'm glad you touched up on it because the 100% absorption is amazing because before I went on the cruise that I spoke about at the beginning of the class today, before I went on the cruise, I said, I really want to return healthy. Every time. There's a pattern every time. And the people we were with were hacking and coughing on the way back. We rode down with them, we rode back with them, and they were already getting sick. And I just kept focusing on that vitamin C that Hollie Gilbert gave me at the DRIPBaR and the Melbourne Vieira area and the
Mhm.
Pineda area. And then, of course, there's another location in Orlando, Lake Nona area, but I've
Mhm.
not gone to that one yet. The one I go is in Vieira,
Mhm.
but I kept thinking, man, this is great. And I even said to you, I want to have a post IV so that my husband now has a scratchy throat. And I'm like, okay, I
He
want to
should have
stay
come
healthy.
too.
Okay, he said he would. He said he would because I've been trying
Okay.
to get him to do this because it is so important. But now the question is, what is the absorption of the oral vitamin C that I've been taking for 10 over a decade now? What should people expect from their supplements that they're getting?
It really depends. It goes back to gut health. If you do not have a healthy gut, then your absorption could be as low as 10%.
Oof.
If you have a really healthy system, you've done a lot of work on your gut repair, then you might be absorbing 40%. But you're never going to get the same level of absorption in an oral supplement that you will in an IV supplement. And there's a lot of things that sometimes we don't supplement orally the right way. There's a lot of supplements we can't put in an IV bag. You know, anything that's fat soluble, it has to be given in a shot instead,
Yeah.
because you need fat to help the absorption of that vitamin. So you can't put it in an IV bag. It's not water soluble. And so it's really important the time. If you're taking your vitamin D, you need
Hmm.
to take that when your stomach's not empty because you need
Oh.
some fat to help transport those vitamins.
Mm.
And then you need to consider maybe taking an ionophore. So that could be in the form of green tea or turmeric, but it also is quercetin is another oral supplement that you can take with your oral supplementation, which helps it cross that cellular barrier and absorb at a higher rate. So there are things you can do to increase your absorption from an oral perspective. And I'm sure there are people that can speak much more intelligently about that than I do, but I like to listen to them, like Dr. Rhonda Patrick. And, and that's where I learned. And my oral supplements, I make sure that I take something that helps the absorption. Because, like I said, there's a lot of things we can't put in a bag.
Well, when I also got vitamin D shot, I got a vitamin B12 B shots, and then I glutathione push. I think that's what I
Hmm.
had. And you know
Hmm.
what? It didn't hurt. In the past, when I've had that glutathione, there's a stinging feeling that goes through my veins. I did not feel it. And they used to do this at the end, but you guys do it at the beginning. Is there a protocol that you must follow with the drip bar that other places that don't have the name recognition may not have to follow?
Well, there's just best practices. We are very passionate about sterile compounding, and we go to a much higher degree of sterility than most
Yeah.
IV places do. We have a sterile compounding hood that is 797. So it's just like what's used in the compounding pharmacies that we use for compounding or making our bags. And so that's a best practice. If someone's coming into your home from a mobile perspective and they're mixing on your dining room table, well, if your cat walked across that dining room table, there's definitely not a sterile environment there. So there's always risk associated with that. So I'd say number one, when you go to a place, can ask to see their lab, ask to see where they're mixing to make sure it's a sterile environment. The other thing that we are very particular about is when we open a vitamin vial, we only keep it open for 28 days. Again, that's a best practice when it comes to sterile compounding. It's making sure that our ingredients are the most potent and the freshest. That vitamin might have a 6 month shelf life, but we will not use it beyond
Um,
28 days. So people always come to me and say, wow, I feel such a difference when I get a drip with you than when I get drips in other places. Why is that? And that's one of the reasons. When it comes to things like glutathione, it can be very stingy. And it's interesting you pointed that out because you have to make sure that you use the right ratio of
oh,
diluting it a little bit so that when you push it, it doesn't have that
oh.
sting and it doesn't burn. Glutathione's probably next to vitamin C my other favorite thing because it has so many amazing applications for our health and wellness, such as it's the master antioxidant. So it's going to help with all that free radical damage in our body. It is a detoxifying agent. So it's going to help our liver to detoxify. And, people who are on statins really need more detoxification support because a lot of people don't realize that the statin interferes with their ability to detoxify properly. And glutathione also is a natural anti-inflammatory. And, we know inflammation is the silent killer. It is leading to almost all disease states in our bodies. And then last, the ladies love it. It's always in our beauty formulas because it lightens and brightens the skin.
Well, I tell you, that is amazing. I did not feel the stinging. I always felt the stinging. I always knew when it was going in through my veins. They always say, "You're just so sensitive." No, I never, because I said, "Oh, you're going to do it at the beginning." She did it at the beginning instead of the ending. I don't know if that had anything to do with
It
it.
doesn't. It's just a
It was just
practice.
the way that you apply it.
Yeah, because what happens is sometimes you might forget. if the nurse gets busy, they might forget. And so if you wait till the end, then they disconnect your IV and now they didn't push your glutathione. Now they've got to restick you or something like that. So we like to do at the beginning just to make sure that, it doesn't get forgotten. But it doesn't really matter one way or the other. And, some people want a larger dose, so we might actually hang a second bag and deliver it that way. It just depends on how much someone wants. Now, you can also get it via an intramuscular injection, an IM injection, and it may sting a little bit. It's just the nature of the glutathione.
Yeah, yeah. I tell you what, I was so grateful. And I begged you, please let me do more than 15,000. I mean,
Oh, for
15
vitamin
grams,
C.
yeah, for vitamin C. Because I wanted to, because I know this absorption, I really wanted that vitamin C to saturate my body prior to like have a shield, like a dome
Mhm,
around me where
mhm.
I was like a sneeze shield, like a sneeze guard. That was me. Nothing was going to touch me. I was impenetrable. And so let's talk about why I was only allowed to do 15,000,
Mhm.
although other places have given me like 20 grams, 25 grams. You were like, Lily, it's not part of our protocol. And I respected it. I didn't keep
Mhm.
pushing. I
Mhm.
understood it. So let's talk about if anybody is wanting to do more than 15 grams or 15,000 milligrams
Mhm.
and I take so much vitamin C every day, knowing that I don't absorb much of it. Let's talk about going higher than
Right.
15,000. What does that mean?
So, vitamin C, let's talk about orally too. When you take a certain amount, after a certain amount of vitamin C, it's very acidic, and so you're going to have gastrointestinal
Yep.
disruption.
Yeah.
When it comes to IV vitamin C, there is a genetic abnormality that some people can have that can make them intolerant to the high doses of vitamin C. So we screen for that through a blood test called a G6PD. And so if you do not have that test, we cannot go any higher than 15,000. 15,000 is a very high dose of vitamin C. I mean, most places that you go into, when they put vitamin C in your drip, they're giving you 500 milligrams. They're really not giving you much. And they'll call 2,000 a high dose.
Yeah.
But when we talk about high doses, 25 grams, 50 grams, 75 grams, 100 grams, now we're talking about for therapeutic reasons, having to do usually with cancer. We know, and I'm a big fan of Dr. Levy. I know he's been on your show. I got the opportunity to meet him at I Am the Solution a few years ago and got him to sign my book because I love his book. I think it's called Primeval Panacea.
Yeah.
And I read that one many years ago, and it was amazing because it talked about how almost every mammal on the planet produces their own vitamin C, and we're one of the few that do
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
And a goat that's about the same size as a human, around 200 pounds, when it's under stress, can produce like 100 grams of vitamin C in one day
Mhm.
to help itself heal. So, they wonder whether we at one point in time created our own vitamin C,
Mhm.
but obviously we don't anymore.
Lost the
And we
ability.
know that
Yeah.
yeah, we know that these high doses, what they do is they put the body into a pro-oxidative state. And we know that cancer can't survive in a pro-oxidative state. And so we do this sometimes. People come to us after their chemotherapy and we administer the high dose of vitamin C. We're testing the sugar levels before and after. We're looking for a particular rise in their sugar because vitamin C kind of tricks the body into thinking it's sugar and it kind of goes for the vitamin C. And now the vitamin C works its magic because it creates that pro-oxidative state and it helps kill cancer cells. This is well documented. There's lots of NIH studies. It's even being used in a lot of, I think Sloan Kettering might be one, but I know it's several hospitals of cancer research hospitals are now using it in conjunction with traditional therapies.
Mhm.
And many of our clients are doing the traditional therapies. Some are not,
Yeah.
with non-aggressive forms of cancer like prostate. We might see them just opt for holistic treatments. And people who are in remission, they'll come in once a month to keep that pro-oxidative state in their body and try to keep the cancer from reforming, because what they say is we all have cancer cells in our body. It's whether we give the cancer cells the opportunity in an environment that is accommodating for them to accumulate, and we don't want to do that.
No.
So I will do probably like once a month a high dose myself. I only do like 25 grams, but it's like, why give them that environment? Let's like introduce that pro-oxidation.
Yeah. And one of the things that I've learned in doing the classroom is from cancer experts and coaches, and that there's things that happen in our body, like viruses, like Epstein-Barr, for example, that keep our cells from doing the actual, like they eat, they sleep, they procreate, they poop, and then there's the body's natural ability of recognizing a cell that should not die, that should die, and it doesn't die, and it starts becoming something totally different, like cancer. When you have Epstein-Barr, it kind of takes away that capability. It's like a cloak that goes over these cells. And Dr. Levy is going to be talking about Epstein-Barr. How does, if somebody, because we're talking about cancer, and this could be an open door, especially if there's stress in your life and you're not monitoring, because the way is your D levels will plummet and the Epstein-Barr numbers will escalate, and you'll start seeing that, and especially with people with have stress in their life, all of that. I started noticing my D levels go down, taking 5,000 milligrams a day, and the Epstein-Barr levels go up. And at that moment, I'm thinking, I'm opening the door with the stress that I'm in to allow cancer to multiply in my body. So I'm going to do something quick. I'm doing following Dr. Levy's protocol, but can vitamin C help with viruses in the body? Can it help get rid of Epstein-Barr? What do you know? Do you know anything? Can you talk about what Epstein-Barr, people that have Epstein-Barr or Lyme's disease, how infused vitamin C or other vitamins can help?
There's definitely protocols for lots of autoimmune diseases.
Mhm.
What we've seen with things like lupus is that they need a lot of immune support. So, not just vitamin C, but zinc, vitamin D. Vitamin D, I am a disciple. I'm constantly preaching vitamin D levels because unfortunately, our medical system has that little chart that shows when you're in the red, and people think, oh, my level's 32. I'm fine. No,
Yeah.
I mean, that just is comparing you to the general population, and the general
Yes.
population are all, way too low in their vitamin D. Functional medicine practitioners are going to talk about 80 to 100,
Hmm.
and you rarely ever see anyone with a vitamin D level, that at that level. But vitamin C is going to help with anything immune related. But
Okay.
as far as there being any particular research, I'm sure there's some out there
Yeah.
associated with Epstein-Barr. I'm familiar with the research around lupus. And we have a drip called the Shield that's very high in vitamin C, very high in zinc, and it has some B vitamins as well. And that's a very reliable protocol for us to use for people with lupus.
That's called the drip,
It's called the Shield.
the shield. Okay.
So it's creating a shield for your immune system.
Okay. And so how much vitamin C is included in that shield? The
And
shield.
the Shield, it's 5,000, 5,000.
Wow. So I took 50s. Yeah, I mean, you were like so good, Lily. Lily, you're
You're getting a
getting
great dose.
15,000 is more than you're
Right.
But you know what? It worked out really well. But I'm going to go back for the post just so that I can seal the deal. But so that one's called the Shield, which is
Hmm.
good for autoimmune conditions, especially lupus.
Hmm.
So what are other drips that you have? That people can go to the Drip Bar, especially at your location. I'm hoping that they'll come to your location in
Yeah.
Pineda and also Lake Nona. Tell us about the other drips that you have.
So another drip that's extremely beneficial, especially for those with fibromyalgia or people who suffer from migraines, is called the Soother. It's high in magnesium. And magnesium is another very crucial micronutrient that 80% of Americans are deficient in. Magnesium is relying on like 300 different functions in the body that are relied on magnesium levels. And so we know that almost everyone that walks through our door is deficient in magnesium, especially those who are suffering with any kind of pain related. It helps soothe the muscles, it helps relax them. So that's a drip that's extremely popular. Another drip that's very popular is basically our turn on the Myers cocktail. We call it the restoration. It's a whole liter of fluids. Not all of our formulas are in a liter. You don't want to dilute it too much because it can kind of blunt the effectiveness of some of the effects. So, the hydration is really important under certain circumstances. A lot of us are walking around dehydrated. And like when people come off of cruises, quite often that they're a little dehydrated. They might have, partaken in a little bit too
Yep.
much fun.
Yep.
And
And you
so
don't
the
have
rest
the
of,
access to water. I mean, you're drinking bottled water. Yes, they say they have filtered water, but what are they really filtering? We don't know. When I'm at home, I have reverse osmosis water. When I'm in the cruise, I'm drinking, the
right.
water from the bottles. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
So and then
Yeah.
there's
So
everybody's just burning the candle at both ends. So what would you recommend for that one? That's the
So
restoration?
the restoration, it's a whole liter of fluid. There's vitamin C, there's B12, B complex, which has 5 different B vitamins in it, magnesium, and a glutathione push to help detoxify maybe a little bit of damage you might have done to your liver while you were partying a little too much. But everyone can benefit from glutathione. I mean, there's no harm in getting extra glutathione. So that drip is our most popular, hands down, because it has so many applications and people feel so refreshed after they've had a whole liter of fluid. And it's amazing to see what sometimes just pure hydration. Some people
Yeah.
come in and they just get a hydration bag. A saline, if you're dealing with POTS, you're deficient in your saline.
Yeah.
So we see people,
That's not pot the drug, it's POTS the
yeah,
diagnosis. Okay.
posterior, right.
Yeah. Yeah. I just
Mhm.
want to make sure I clarify that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we have a lot of clients who have that and they come in to get saline on a regular basis. And advanced age clients, we have quite a few clients that come in. They might be in their late 70s, 80s. We've even seen people in their 90s. And we know that the older people sometimes do not drink the way they should. They're not drinking adequate water. And we had a lady who was wheelchair bound. She would come in every week and got a liter of saline. And her doctor could not believe the progress she was making in the fact that she was sleeping better. She wasn't getting UTIs anymore. She was eating better and even communicating more just by simply staying hydrated.
That's amazing, Holly. You are definitely making a difference, and I love love what you're doing at the Drip Bar and what you're doing in the community as well. The fact that you're going to be one of the speakers at the event, you're going to be a quick speaker, but you're going to have IV therapies there. So last time that you were in the I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit, we were really focusing on prevention. This time we're focusing on cancer and autoimmune diseases. And I know that, the event's going to sell out. We're going to be giving away 2 tickets during today's class. And just get your name in the winner's basket. All you have to do is text me at 407-373-5959. And you can also email me at lily@whenyouneedafriend.com if you are interested in winning these tickets. Now make sure that you're going to be at the event the entire time. It's November 1st. So the information is right here, November 1st, 2025. It's on a Saturday from 9 to 6, but we are going to open our doors at 8 o'clock. That way you can just charge at the vendors, start doing your treatments, get situated, find your place. We have VIP. We also have regular prices of admission. The VIP includes a lunch. Regular price does not include the lunch, but I believe we're going to have food there that's organic and it's um, looked at as everything has to be clean. So there's no pesticides in the food. So we want to make sure that we start a new habit. We also have added, and we're not encouraging it, But at the same time, we've had so many requests for people to see the I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit online because they're in Germany or they're in Canada and they just can't come for the day. And so we have added that component. So go check it out at whenyouneedafriend.com. There's usually a pop-up when you go to whenyouneedafriend.com. While you're there, please like and follow me in all social media. Subscribe to the website. Share this video with all your friends. Let people know that we are creating change. We are going to hopefully empower everybody that attends and watches to be their own MD, their own medical detective. Because what happens is, and I was sharing this with a friend of mine just yesterday, when you're the most vulnerable, when you are feeling sick, you have a symptom, the doctor comes in and says, boom, you have this disease. All of a sudden, the mindset changes to, I don't want to think anymore. Tell me what to do, doctor. Tell me what to do, practitioner. Tell me what to do. And we forget that our body is different than the person next to us and the other person next to them. We are all different. And so the purpose of the I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit is for all of us to take back our health and say, wow, I didn't realize, just like Holly was sharing in her story about how she fell into this. Most people that are advocates of natural health have fallen into it because of a disease or a condition. For me, it was asthma. For me, it was the classroom and having wonderful teachers in the classroom like Dr. Lorraine Day, like Dr. Thomas Levy, Dr. Joel Furman. And these are people that I was at that place where I was cracked open. I wanted to learn more. If you want to learn more, I encourage you to attend the event. I make it as affordable as I possibly can for everybody to attend. The vendors are amazing. The speakers are even, are amazing. But what we get from it is the camaraderie where we all help each other grow and learn. No more white coat trance. I hear and obey. We want everybody to make a plan. Take some tools, get some tools that you can on that day. And everybody, there's not going to be a lot of confusion. Everybody's going to listen to the same speakers. There's not going to be like 3 or 4 speakers happening at once. We want to make sure that this is a manageable event where you can speak to the speakers. And I can go on and on and on how proud I am to see the results of coming together as like-minded, even when you're not in belief, just being open to learn. So I want to encourage you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com, click on the workshop if the pop-up doesn't go up, and do your research. See if this is something that would be right for you, because I'll be right there waiting for you. Another way that you can, get a group together, friends that heal together, that learn together, stay together, and they're strong until they're old ages. So I want to encourage you to check out my sponsors, support them as they're supporting the classroom. You can go to my Shop Now bag. Many of the vendors that are in the Shop Now bag are going to be there. I'm just excited to bring these products and services that are Lilly approved to all of you. I know that I've turned some vendors down because I need to make sure that I believe in the product, that I understand that there is like science behind it. So we're not going to just be giving you woo-woo stuff. There's science behind it, and I want to encourage you to do your own research and investigate everything. Last but not least, you can become an enrolled student in the classroom, and I'm very grateful for all the students in the classroom who have enrolled themselves to donate so that we can continue growing the classroom. So I want to thank you for all of that. But I want to encourage you that especially if you cannot afford to pay for the coming into to the I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit for Cancer and Autoimmune Disease, that you will at least request that I can, that you be a winner. Go in the winner's basket. A week from today, I will draw one name. If you just want one, then I'll draw 2 names. So please continue to grow with me. Let's do this together. We're almost sold out, so get your tickets right away. And so today we have Hollie Gilbert. She is the co-owner of the franchise, the DRIPBaR, and you can find her in the Vieira, Pineda area. So you can go to the dripbar.com, and the Pineda one is Melbourne-Pineda-Landing, and then the DRIPBaR for the Orlando is dripbar.com/Orlando dash Lake Nona I'm sorry, dash Lake da Lake Nona. That's it. Lake Nona.
That's fine.
Oh yeah, there's a dash between Nona.
Yeah.
But here you go. When you are in the classroom, when you if you are subscribed to the classroom, you have all these links. So all you have to do is click on Orlando or you have to click on Melbourne, but those it'll take you straight to her website. Hollie, you could be anywhere. I'm so grateful that you're here with us today, and I'm sure that that when you are deciding what are you going to do to further this information for the drip bar, you could be anywhere else, but you chose to be here. And so I want to thank you. And you also, as a speaker at the event, I want to thank you for believing so much in what we're doing and as well being a champion for IV therapies, because this is something that I absolutely love and I recommend for everybody. But is there anybody who cannot do IV therapy?
Sure. I mean, people who have congestive heart failure, they struggle with their fluid, they have excess fluid, so they wouldn't be a candidate as an example. We do not treat, children. So that's, there, I'm sure there are places that do, but other than that, most people are eligible for IV therapy. Uh, And we have locations all over the country. So my two locations just happen to be here because I live in Central Florida, but we do have locations. So I know you have listeners all across the country. And so, you can look and see if there's a drip bar in your area. And if there isn't, like I said, just use the advice I gave you to look into the places that are in your community. There's lots of nurse practitioners and doctors that offer this type of therapy in their facilities.
Yeah, and I know our keynote speaker, Dr. Mark Rosenberg, he also is a big, big, big IV therapy. We talked about it in the classroom when he was on the sh in the classroom
Mhm.
that airs just recently. So with you, I'm sure that you get to hear and get to meet a lot of the people that go to the drip bar.
Mhm.
Have is there anybody other than me that sticks out to you? Other than the annoying Lily, is there
Yeah.
anyone else that sticks out as gosh, this is really it makes you more encouraged to do what you're doing?
Well, it's always great to see someone's journey and see people feeling better. We have a mother and daughter who struggle with their autoimmune diseases, and they come in and get drips regularly, and it really restores them, makes them feel better. My mother was had Sjogren's syndrome, so autoimmune disease. My brother also had an autoimmune disease, and so I'm very sensitive and very in touch with the autoimmune community because of that. A little purpose driven, probably for me because of that. And I saw the pain and the discomfort and the inflammation and what it did. And my mother didn't know, and I didn't know back then some of these natural things that could have really helped ease her pain, decreased her inflammation. And we also have other things besides IV therapy. We also have things like red light therapy. Light therapy is amazing. They really should have, everyone should have a red light in their house, as far as I'm concerned. Um, and we have a salt sauna. So we have infrared sauna, but we also have it with halotherapy. Salt is an amazingly healing substance, and it can help with a lot of conditions, and compression therapy as well. So while people are, if someone's fighting, a flu or something like that, we can put them into the salt sauna while they drip. And so the salt is helping with all their respiratory conditions, and then they're getting the vitamins that are going to help them heal.
Wonderful. I just tried your salt sauna and it was amazing. I don't, and every time somebody would come in to check on my drip because hung my drip up in the sauna, they would go, "It smells different in here. Did you acquire a new kind of salt? Is this something that you look for? Or is this the Drip Bar offering you different options for salt?"
So the manufacturer of our salt sauna is constantly introducing other types of salts that we can use. There's a CBD salt. We've chosen not to use that salt, but it is an option. And the only reason we've chosen that is we are in an area where there is a lot of military and there is a lot of sensitivity to CBD products for the military. But there was one that was introduced recently, and it includes eucalyptus and mint, and it really helps that salt to work a little bit deeper into the lungs. And our the feedback from our clients dealing with allergies or asthma and things like that has been really fantastic.
I tell you, I love it. Now, do all the drip bars have these extra services, or is this at your store?
Some drip bars have those services, some have different, like some have hydrofacial, injectables, Botox, things like that. Some have weight loss. We have weight loss programs with peptides. We also have anti-aging peptides, like Samorelin. And but every drip bar is kind of a little unique. Some might not have any additional services and might, because of space constraints, they might only have IV therapy. But
Yeah,
every drip bar has IV therapy.
yes, that's wonderful. What are the most misconceptions of the people? Why would somebody tell you, man, I wish I would have done this before. This is what I was thinking. What are some of the obstacles people think of, or objections people think about when it comes to IV therapy?
Well, number one thing I'd say is needle phobia. Most people are very afraid of needles, and most of their uh, times that they've had needles have been under unpleasant circumstances. They have been in the hospital, and the hospital is going to use a very large needle and very large catheter because they don't know how long you're going to be there. Or they're going for a blood draw, and the blood draw needles are also very large. When you're in our environment, we're using a very small. Typically, these are catheters that were used on neonatal or infants and children. So they're very small. They do not hurt to the degree that something you probably had in the hospital or when you got your blood drawn. So I'd say that's a very common misconception. The biggest compliment we get all the time is, wow, I didn't even feel that. You're not supposed to. And we at our location, we staff with only registered nurses, and these are nurses that usually have extensive experience in the ER. So they've done hundreds and hundreds of sticks before they ever touch one of our clients. And we know that they're very skilled. And so it's very rare we have to stick someone more than once. So I'd say that would be the number one drawback. And number two would just be people not understanding what this is. They think, oh, someone's crazy to do this. And unfortunately, there are people who just aren't healthy. They just don't have the gut microbiome to process things the same way. We know that I think you've had Dr. Hazan on your show, and we are hearing about how the vaccine has kind of disrupted the gut microbiome.
Yeah.
And so we're seeing more and more of people needing micronutrient support, especially needing immune support. Their vitamin C, their zinc, if they're taking those things orally, are just not working the way they used to because their gut microbiome has been so disrupted.
Now, when somebody comes to you, do they need to have a prescription? Do you work with doctors and clinics when it comes to getting an IV? Like for me, I wanted to do that larger, which I'm going to do. I'll probably do the 25 because now you've convinced me 100% that 15 was great. And so by doing the G6PD, I now can go up as much as I want. But how do you work with people? Can they just ask for what they want, or do they have to work with a doctor?
Yeah, great question. To both. This is a client directed environment, and that's kind of uncomfortable in the medical industry,
Hmm.
that clients are opting in for what they would like to do, but they are looking for medical guidance. So some do come in because their doctor has said this would be a really good thing for you to do. Those are usually doctors who are in functional or integrative, or they're just much more current. And they know that, someone who recently, for instance, had bypass, stomach bypass surgery, gastric bypass, and they need a lot of hydration and they need a
Yeah,
lot of
nutrients.
micronutrient support. So that's where we see a lot of doctor directed clients towards us.
Mhm.
But other times it's just they are not feeling well. Their energy is very low. They're very fatigued and they're having frequent headaches. And they just walk in and say, I want to give this a try because I just don't feel well.
Hmm.
And so we are overseen by a medical doctor. We do have intake processes. We do have a general screening that is done with the client.
Hmm.
And based on how they answer those questions and the symptoms that they're presenting or what pharmaceuticals they might already be taking. As I said, we know that people on statin drugs need more detoxification
Hmm.
support. So based on all of that, we're going to make a recommendation. Our nurses are going to make a recommendation as to what drip would best suit them for what their health and wellness goals are.
Now, and that's great. That's great because I want to be able to decide what I want, but I also want my doctors and coaches or whoever was around me to also be like cheering me on because the worst thing that we could have is a doctor that refuses to give you hope. One that says, oh, you have an expiration date, or one that says, don't do this, don't build your immune system because now you're doing chemo or chemo-like drugs. So, I'm hearing you say very clearly that if you are on chemo drugs or chemo-like drugs, that this can benefit them. It could work as a
Yeah,
complement.
I mean, there's a lot of doctors who are going to tell you don't. And we hear that all the time, but there's a lot of evidence and many, many studies done that show that it does, and it doesn't disrupt the chemotherapy. So vitamin C is, it's one of the safest. Dr. Levy talks about it all the time. It's one of the safest things you can do. And, does a healthy person need to do 50 grams of vitamin C? No. But I know Lily wants to. Um, so, 25 is probably plenty sufficient for what you're trying to do. But if there's a supporting study out there and you're working with a functional doctor and he says because of Epstein-Barr, 50 grams is, we just get a copy of that doctor's order. We pass it on to our medical director. He reviews it, he approves, and then we move forward with the
Yeah,
therapy.
yeah. And they have
But
to
we
do
have
that test. They have to do that
Yeah,
G6PD
absolutely. Yeah,
test. Yeah.
that's part of the screening process.
Yeah.
And there's other tests like we need basic blood panels, basic CMP, CBC. So you need basic blood work. You need to make sure that their kidneys are healthy and that their, kidneys can process these micronutrients properly. So there are other tests. I focus on that one because it's one that people generally don't have.
Yeah.
And but several of our protocols do have certain screening processes and labs that are required.
Now, are you going to be doing IV therapy at the event if people want it? Or do you want them to like pre-order?
Well, we will be doing some IM shots. I don't know that we'll be doing IV therapy because we don't know what people would want, and we have such a huge menu, and we won't
Hmm.
have a hood there to be able to mix in a sterile way.
Hmm.
So, but we will be offering several injections, things that we can put in the arm because some of our injections require the backside. So I
Yeah.
don't think we want to do that. Um, so we will be offering B12 because most people, and we only use the methylated version. There's a lot of talk these days about MTHFR, and so the type of B12 vitamin you get is very important.
Hmm.
because they estimate that maybe as many as 50% of the population is walking around with this gene mutation.
Hmm.
That means that we need more support on a methylation process. So,
Yeah.
the type of B12 that you're doing and the type of B12 you're taking orally is really important. So, I always say, like, always default to the methylated version because you just don't know when someone
Yeah.
has that.
Yeah.
And we'll probably be doing, I don't know if I said glutathione,
No, not
some
yet, but
glutathione
that's great. I'm
shots. Yeah,
glad
because
you.
everybody could use more glutathione, and it's just so amazing because we're all walking around with a lot of inflammation in our body.
Yeah, well, this is really good. Now, you mentioned three different kinds of drips plus the saline for people that just want to do the saline and hydrate their body. Do you have more than three of you mentioned the shield, the restoration, and the soother. Are there more than that?
Oh, we have lots. Yeah, we
Okay.
have like over 17 different kind of what we call lifestyle
Hmm.
drips, whether you're an athlete and you're looking to, kind of raise your performance. There's certain amino acids that can help your cardiovascular system. There's one of my favorites called the Time Machine, which I say replenishes everything that Mother Nature tends to take from us as we age. And we also have things like heavy metal detox. A lot of us are walking around
Ah,
with problems with metals. There's a permissible level of lead even in baby food.
yeah.
So to think that we're not walking around and lead is a neurotoxin, I personally am chelating. And chelation, I have a functional medicine doctor who is personally chelating at one of my locations. We have a lot of dentist clients because they also understand they work with metals all the time,
Mm.
and chiropractors. We have lots of medical professionals that
Yeah.
come to us because they understand our level of professionalism and sterility,
Yeah.
and so yeah, we have some wonderful clients.
I tell you what, if anybody wanted to get a hold of the store of the Vieira Pineda area, what number can they call?
They can call 321-465-7986.
Okay, and then for the Orlando, is that a different number?
Yeah, that one would be 407-734-3540. Man, you're
Awesome,
testing my
awesome.
memory there. Good thing I had my NAD.
Very good, very good. This is just dipping the toe. Come to the I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit on November 1st. Get your tickets and make sure that if money is an object and you're concerned about that, just ask for just get your name in the winner's basket. We'll draw two names or one name if they want two tickets and a week from today. So let's continue to be open to learn more about how we can take our health back. Hollie, thank you so much for coming in. You're just amazing. I'm so grateful not only that you're going to be a part of the event, but I can also call you my friend. So thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, and please remember, we'll be not only here waiting for you, but we'll also be there on November 1st waiting for you worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. This is Lily McDermott and Hollie Gilbert wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day
Ever.
ever. Good job. Good job. That was awesome. You did a great job. Look at
Thank you.
you.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lily and McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.